first thing I do is I go check and make sure that we are actually live on these platforms because, you know, it is the internet. Things do what they do. YouTube is starting to receive our content, so we're looking good there. YouTube's going. Let's go on Facebook. We are now going live on Facebook. All right, looking good. All right, people on Facebook and YouTube, if you can hear me, I'd like to get some replies from you. Everything looks good. We are hot on all mics. And check it here. Yeah, we're looking good. All right. We'll just go. We're recording at any rate. Hello, folks. My name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black Show. This is a special edition, Coffee with Tim Black. I actually don't have my coffee. I do have my water bottle, though. But I got something that's more important than a water bottle or coffee. I have a great guest with me today. You know, there's been a lot of conversation about Mayor Pete Buttigieg out of South Bend, Indiana. We know he's been climbing in some polls, particularly Iowa and New Hampshire. Well, Mayor Pete has been the topic of conversation about transparency. Well, in the spirit of transparency, I have a guest. His name is Henry Davis Jr. He's a councilman-elect, 2nd District of South Bend, Indiana. Mr. Davis Jr. has some information about his experiences in South Bend that I think is very pertinent to understanding a little bit more about Mayor Pete, more than we get into sound bites on MSNBC, CNN, and other news outlets. How you doing, Mr. Davis? How you feeling, brother? Man, I'm doing well, man. I'm just glad you could take time out, man. I know that you're a full-time student at the moment, man. How's that going? Fantastic, man. Well, you know, definitely, man. I wish you the best of luck, and you know, and hopefully things work out well for you. So let's jump to it, man. So, Mr. Davis, what has been your experience? How did you come to know about Mayor Pete? What's been the relationship or your experience? How did you meet him? They're saying they can't hear you on their side. Let me see if there's something reason why they said they can't hear. Sound issues. Can't hear your guests. No sound. No guests on the sound. Tell me to start glancing off the. They said they couldn't. They're unable to hear you right now. We can't hear him. They said they can't. We can't hear him. Let me check and see if there's something on my end I could do about that real quick. I hear you just fine. And you know what? Let's see. Okay. Okay. Cool. Let's see. They said they can't hear him. Line in. The connection is. They're saying the connection's a little unstable. Yeah, they are. They're like, Till, we're not hearing. You're not hearing your guests at the moment. And I'm on Facebook, so yeah. So let's see. So we're on XSplit. Let's see what's XSplit doing with the sound here. Settings real quick and see why we aren't hearing his speakers. Okay, let me bring out a monitor real quick to make sure things get deceptive. Okay, so let's go to YouTube. Mr. Davis, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Just making sure this internet can hear you. Fine. Just making sure this internet can hear you. Fine. Just making sure this internet can hear you. Okay, I think they just said they heard you. We hear him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so we hear him, Tim. There he is. I hear him. Fantastic. One slight change, so that's okay. Now I can reintroduce you without being so wordy. All right, folks, let's try this again. My name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black Show. I have a special guest today. His name is Henry Davis Jr. He's a councilman-elect, the 2nd District of South Bend, Indiana, and he's here today to discuss his experiences with Mayor Pete and give us some background because we want to know more about this front runner. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Davis? What's going on?
Hey, man. How you doing? I'm good, man. I'm good.
Fantastic, man. Thank you for your patience. We're very happy to have you. I'm a little paranoid now. But yeah, they said they're hearing this. It's good, good.
Let you hear.
Yeah.
We got it going on, man. We're cooking with grease.
Now they say they're getting a loop feedback.
Man, what is that about?
Now they said, okay, so I'm getting different responses. Now people saying they can hear you, they can hear us twice. Now people saying no, it's fine. Oh, come on. All right.
I'll just roll with it, man.
I'm gonna have to just roll with it. Unfortunate. All right, so Mr. Davis, how did you come to know Mayor Pete? In what way do you know him? How did you meet?
Well, our paths intersected across because, we elected officials. I was going into my 2nd term on the city council here in South Bend, and he was coming in as a newly elected mayor. And so that was the basis of our relationship. I hadn't known him prior to being elected to office. And so, it was all new for me, just as well as it was new for most people.
Gotcha. So you met on a professional level, and that's how you got to know him. And what year was this, you say?
This was 2012.
Okay, 2012. Gotcha. Just, there's been a lot of conversation because he was an elected official. There's been a lot of conversation about the people, being turned off because of his orientation or his relationships. Did you guys know about his orientation at the time when he was elected?
No, we knew very little about him, to be honest with you. And that right there, is not necessarily anything that, sticks out of my mind as being a part of the conversation. So no would be the answer.
Just wondering but he was elected to the 2nd term and people knew the 2nd term, right?
Well, yes and no. Okay. So in South Bend, you have to know this, it's a heavily Democratic place. So if you win in the primary, you basically win the general election. You have very little Republican opposition or independent opposition. So they knew, but it was after the primary, in which the primary is the one that I challenged them in.
Gotcha.
So everybody found out thereafter. But, I don't think anyone really cared, not to say that people don't care, but I don't think that it was that big of an issue.
Okay.
One way or the other.
Okay. Yeah, just curious because, that's been part of the conversation as well. People saying, maybe that's why he's not getting support in South Carolina. I was just wondering how it's gone in South Bend. So you guys work together, or you worked in a professional environment. You see each other. Has it been a good relationship, or has it been something else?
I think it's been a bit contentious. I'm not necessarily happy with the relationship because we both serve in leadership capacities for the city. And if leaders fight, then those who are following obviously take a hit as well. So, no, I'm not necessarily proud that the relationship is contentious as it is. But it is what it is,
Right.
I just wish things would be a bit different.
Gotcha. And we're not talking about a personal situation. This is more from professional, from experiences, professional. But you're like both of you fighting for communities, fighting in your positions, right?
Right, exactly. It's not like we're going to leave out and we're going to have beer, or go hang out and go somewhere and eat afterwards. No, he's a couple of years younger than I am, and went to a whole totally different school. Set up, so our paths never really crossed.
Gotcha.
It's just what it is. My constituency base desires more, deserves more, and really are the backbone of the Democratic vote here in the city, and they tend not to get anything from it or get less. So there is and has been, systematic problems with the way that the votes are, delivered and who gets more, who gets less. And so my constituency base requires me and also deserves that I, as their leader or elected official leader, do the job as the best way I can. And if that sometimes causes me to get a little loud, that causes me to challenge the establishment, that's my job, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
Well, I think that everyone would want that from their officials, the people that they elect. That's what they want you to do. Go fight for them. Go make things happen on their behalf. So I know you sent me some articles about some issues. Is it true to say that there's been some contention or tension with the community and the police force there in South Bend?
Well, absolutely. We've had that type of issue going on. It's been long-standing, right? But I think it hit a head back in 2012. We had a young man by the name of Mike Anderson who died in police custody. Still really don't know what exactly happened. We got the autopsy report, and that was given out publicly. And the autopsy report said that he swallowed a nickel bag of weed and a dollar bill. And so he, subsequently died from asphyxiation. He choked on it. Kind of hard to understand that one. A dollar bill, I'm not swallowing my money. I may go buy some food and swallow that, but I'm not swallowing my money, man. Right. And so thereafter, we have this whole Eric Logan thing as well. If you don't know, and there's another gentleman here in the city of South Bend, Father's Day, he dies at the end of a gun that's fired by a local police officer. In between time, you have a significant number of African Americans who were serving in the police force who subsequently quit or felt like they weren't getting their due, so they resigned. Many of which, probably should have been progressed in the ranks, but that weren't progressed in the ranks. That means climbing from, sergeant, lieutenant on up to the top. You had this Chief Boykin situation where you have him recording the lines and allegedly finding out racist content and allegedly finding out content that could be, as Karen DePace said, a criminal. Right. So you have an alarming amount of things just there sitting at your front porch.
Right. I want to slow down just a little bit because this is information you know very well, but I want people to understand the long-standing situation before we get to the most current one. I think you're talking about the most current, which everybody kind of has a little bit of info about. But so back in 2012, police custody, man dies in police custody. No body cameras in 2012.
Well, no. There wasn't any body cams. There were cameras hooked to the hoods of the car or dash cam video.
Dash cam. Okay.
We got to see the final moments of the young man's life, literally on the news, and they were like driving behind him, and he was turning around trying to see, how far behind they were.
Right.
That's about it.
That's about it. And so, and at 2012, was Pete the mayor at that time?
Yes, sir. He was the mayor.
He was the mayor at that time. Okay. So long-standing issues with the community and the police. 2012, back as far as long as 2012. Now we fast forward. The news story that you're talking about is the one for people like me in D.C. heard about, where the young man, Mr. Logan's life was taken, and that's where Pete left the campaign trail, right, and went back to South Bend. Okay.
Well, sure. Yeah, he absolutely, and as he should have. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have, but he should have. But there was, again, you have all these things mixed in. So you're dealing with an idea that he left only because he was running for president, all right? But then you have another idea that you hope that he cared about what took place. And since that's happened, man, you even have discussions, and it's been in the newspaper. His mother's car was burned up in front of her apartment. This happened twice. So again, it's just more stuff stacked on top of more stuff, and it's not any good stuff; it's bad stuff.
Okay. And when you say he, you mean the deceased mother's car was burnt up?
Eric Logan's mother, yes, her car was torched twice.
Wow.
Each time the fire department, didn't say it was arson. They just felt like it was, something that happened. I can't define exactly the words that they used or language that they used to describe, what took place. But I don't know about a person's car being torched twice after their son, meets his demise.
Right.
Yeah. So, you just have a lot of Scooby-Doo things going on around here,
Right. Sounds horrible, man,
Yeah.
that would occur. So, so you have that along with the issue with the police, the first black police chief.
Yeah, Daryl Boykins. You got that right. And so, there was, again, another discussion about him recording lines in claiming it to be wiretapping. And, it was just, back and forth between federal judges, state judges. But once this thing first unfolded initially, David Kapp, who was the U.S. attorney for our area, I think we're in the 7th Circuit District, he immediately wrote a letter and said it was not a case of wiretapping. He said that this was a city-state issue, and we handle it that way. There was obviously other language in that particular letter, but immediately after these tapes were discovered, you have, a voice coming directly from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying, this is not what you think it is. This is not wiretapping. But thereafter, Mayor Pete, went to Notre Dame and got some professors to speak on his behalf to say that it was wiretapping. So the conversation shifted from an actual person that could bring in charges to somebody that just teaches the law. I'm not saying that the folks in Notre Dame don't know what they're talking about, but I'd rather talk with the prosecutor about what's going on rather than somebody that can be a quarterback from the chair.
So he went to an outside source to contradict the prosecutor's analysis.
Yes, he did.
We're talking about the chief of police. Like typically, mayors and chiefs of police sort of work together.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And since then, there has been discussion, and I'm sure you guys read the publications about how there were deals that were being cut or made that says that they were trying to get him out of the office so that they can get someone else in. And no one has an issue with any mayor coming in and using his own picks and his own appointments to serve in, different capacities. That's the prerogative of the mayor. That's by state law. That's allowed. But the problem comes in play is when, in order to get the guy out, he's sent out with an idea that he's doing something illegal. And whereas, again, David Kapp said there was nothing illegal going on per federal law. So why does he have to be colored as somebody outside the lines of the law? If you don't want him there, just, find someone else and replace him.
Okay. So what happened? My understanding is that Mayor Pete did terminate his employment. Mr. Boykins, what was the outcry from the community?
Oh my God, it was beautiful, right? So, and that's beautiful as it can get in that type of situation. But you have white and black people, white officers, black officers. He had support across the board from the community. Chief Boykins was a straight up guy, stand up guy. I would like to believe that he was, black and white. He rule follower. He was the person that you need in that sort of position, and shouldn't have been any shame brought to him. I thought that was really poor taste.
Okay, wow. So that's a lot, actually, Mr. Davis. It's a lot. So the folks, the community, they felt that Mr. Boykins should have continued his tenure as the chief of police.
Well, sure. He should have been able to continue if the mayor wanted him to serve in that capacity. Again, the mayor has the
authority.
Authority, that's his prerogative, So if the mayor didn't feel like that he should have, been in that capacity, then, you reassign him, and you find someone else to, fill that lane. Okay. But that's not what's happened. He was still there, and, within a short period of time, he's automatically being seen as some sort of criminal, and whereas that wasn't the case.
And wow. Well, I get your point. So was was Mayor Pete, was he transparent with the way that he dealt with it? Did he keep people in the loop? I mean, it's a sensitive subject. I mean, I know I don't need to tell you. I mean, first black chief of police, and you're demoting him. How did he meet with the city? You were a city councilman at the time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he did. He went and found other elite blacks in the community and spoke with them about the decision that was made. He handpicked those folks too, to ask them, did he handle this properly, or I need some help because I think I messed up. It was just all kinds of different conversations that were going on, and again, if he felt like the man had done something wrong and he needed to replace him, then you stand behind that, right?
Yeah.
You don't go in and try to get some type of support or sympathy from people that you hope that they are going to support you and sympathize with you. Just be the leader that you said that you are and stand behind the decision that you made. And again, like I said, no one is against, the mayor making decisions that he's supposed to make. It was a way that it was presented and was done. And still to this day, we're still fighting Tay case. To this very day, we're still fighting Tay case. I mean, that's what, 7 years off?
Wow. Wow, and it's still fighting that case. So yeah. we had the police issues with that. We have that issue with the police chief. We have issues of police accountability when it comes to the policing. Is it fair to say that the community doesn't feel too comfortable with the police, or the relationship?
No, I don't. No, and I don't think the police feels comfortable with the police. You just hear recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a news report about the amount of police officers that are leaving South Bend and going to our neighboring community to the east and becoming officers over there. If they're not doing that, they're like quitting and assuming other, careers, or retiring early.
Wow.
You have that going on as well. And our numbers are like really far down. I mean, we're well over 30 from being full complement. And that puts a lot of stress, not only on the officers that, choose to remain here, but on the community as well. I mean, you make a phone call and you're in a situation that's an emergency, you expect that you're going to get a response. I don't know if you're going to get the response that you need as quickly as you're looking for, because the numbers are not there. The city is not being covered the way it's supposed to be covered. So, I mean, that there are issues that are longstanding, whether it's a black community versus the police, or police versus the police, or police versus the mayor. It's just an entire, stew of mismanagement that has occurred.
Wow. Frankly, I think that's a subject we could stay on all day, but I want people to know that there are other issues concerning South Bend that are also important that need to be talked about. One of them was gentrification. What's been your experience with how people are treated as far as homes? I heard of homes being demolished and made way for new buildings or new infrastructure. Please explain.
Well, the people here asked for better housing, affordable housing, and we got demolition. We got 1,000 houses in 1,000 days project. Which cleared out a number of homes in poor, black, disenfranchised areas around schools. And there was not a plan for development. Development was an afterthought. And so we are still dealing with that, where you have these lots that are there that weeds grow in, varmints hang out in, that are next to houses where people actually live in. It was not a well thought out plan. And I did as much as I could when I was on council. I brought a moratorium to it for 30 days, hoping that I can get some support from my other colleagues. I got very little support from my colleagues. Mm-hmm. And I tried to ensure that we will suffer from this by bringing out other ideas. So like the state law changed right before he did that, whereas the setbacks for yards were different. So when you go through some of these neighborhoods, the way that they were designed, especially in the areas that he was in, you needed like a lot and a half to rebuild or to reintroduce housing to that area. So when he went through the area and knocked these houses down that he deemed to be, unrepairable or a nuisance, the idea of rebuilding homes was, okay, we're going to get new homes in that area. Well, you couldn't get them because you had to literally clear out the entire block, replat the block, and then start new housing construction. I actually, laid that scenario out to him and also to my colleagues more than once on the council floor. And I think that they believed that I was anti-development by, reading the truth and reading the law. So now here we are again, years later, and we're struggling with trying to develop in those areas, trying to live and exist in those areas.
Wow. That's devastating. What happened to the people that lived in those homes? So walk us through what happened in South Bend when Pete decided, okay, we need to remove this home. We're going to demolition this house, this home. What happened? Did people live in these homes or these abandoned homes?
Well, you had both. I've gotten stories where people were being attacked. They felt like they were being attacked by the housing code enforcement, not the housing authority, code enforcement. And so they were getting all of these fines. Well, they were not only getting the fines, but there was the landlord's property that they were staying in were getting all these fines. And they were getting evicted because of these fines, whatever they were. So it was like almost forced evictions was happening, which you had people living in homes, or you had, homes that were vacant, and those homes were being demolished as well. So it was like a big, broad brush over an entire area to say that housing needs to go. And again, there was no idea or no thought of replacement.
It's also my understanding a lot of businesses, he was trying to attract businesses to the area. Has there been a development of influx of?
No. Actually, quite the opposite. So with the 1,000 Houses, 1,000 Days demolition project program, there was also an idea of smart streets and instituting smart streets into South Bend. That idea was to slow down traffic in highly high traffic areas. In order to do that, you went from 4 lanes, 2 going east, 2 going west or north or south, or whatever it is, 4 lanes. You went down from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. So which kind of like gridlock traffic and jam traffic up. So now you have people sitting in their cars, idling, getting traffic jam, going to work, coming home from work, or any given time throughout the day. And the idea was that people will stop. Right. People will stop and they'll get out their car and go shopping because they're in a traffic jam. That was the idea. Or people will get to see what's there because they slowed down and they won't zoom past a store that they've never seen before on the main thoroughfare. Those are like real words. That's real language. Those things are actually documented. And so now you have all of this frustration from drivers
right.
that is occurring. Listen to this. I'm not done yet. And those drivers will get off the main thoroughfare, the main route, and they'll go straight down through the neighborhood. We've had incidents with people actually getting in real bad car accidents or people even dying from cars zooming through neighborhoods because they're trying to get away from the traffic jam.
Wow. I got to tell you, Mr. Davis, I'm prepared for the level of dysfunction that appears to be the case in South Bend, Indiana.
Well, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, and no one wants to be accountable for it. He doesn't feel like that he's accountable for it. He thinks that he's brought South Bend back to some level of predominance or some type of idea of, greatness. And then you have people saying, well, no, we're not living in anything great, great crime, high crime, or something that, is not conducive to growth. And has been the problem. The other side stating that we don't need new traffic riding down our streets because if we have children crossing the streets, is not anything that's to be taken seriously when you're talking to city government officials. Now, he's not doing this alone. You still get a vote from the city council or redevelopment commission. So you have 9 members on the city council that are like literally agreeing with this type of ideal that, you know, traffic needs to be shut down. I think I was like the only one that voted against the Smart Streets project because it was too costly, and because in any world you need traffic to increase the visibility of any business. It's called location. No one wants to be caught in a traffic jam. No one wants to be in a situation where traffic is less, or in a mode of frustration. So I'm not interested in putting my business there because people are less likely to stop. People are less likely to participate in whatever's going on over there because they are frustrated. And so now you have people not even wanting to visit our downtown area because of that, because you get jammed in to a traffic, you know, pattern that, you know, that's not helpful.
Mrs. Davis,
it's going on.
Yeah. So okay. So let's move on to the next area. I'm sure Pete did well in social programs and fighting poverty and fighting, social conditions of those people who are how's unemployment and social issues in the community. How's that affect the people?
Well, unemployment in the Black community is double digit. Poverty is well over 40%. Our school corporation, the school corporation that we have, they're aiming at closing another school here in South Bend. Socially, I don't think that fits well in the growth model. And that's where we're at right now.
Is there anything that you can say positive about Mayor Pete's tenure there as mayor?
I just think South Bend needs a do-over. I really do. I think that we weren't prepared for what came through. I don't think structurally or foundationally we were interested in seeing this type of like movement where you have people claiming that there is growth, but then you have, the inverse, people saying that there is absolutely no growth, and it's been painful to watch, So it just depends on where you're looking at and who you're talking to. Everything west of the river has been subjected to high crime. It has been subjected to, like, again, we're talking about closing more schools. We're talking about joblessness. We're talking about homelessness. West of the river, everything that you could find that would not be attractive to anyone looking to move into a new community happens on the west side of the river. Everything east of the river is attractive. It's Notre Dame. It's 80th Street Commons. It's like a whole nother world, go over there, less potholes and less crime, as a matter of fact, so more retail, environment. You can go over there and spend your money. And so you have a separation, and it looks like it's a tale of two cities. But the truth is, the west side of the river is the biggest part of the city, the largest part of the city. So a great deal of the city is under siege.
This sounds very typical. I've heard this story in many cities. I know in Baltimore, we hear this same story. Different sections are treated like it's almost like a totally different city. It's not even the same place, as you pointed out. I remember Pete talking about, there was a clip about segregation and how Pete was unaware that their schools were segregated. You, as a longtime resident of South Bend, is that a new occurrence? Did that happen? Is that new since he's been mayor, or did that happen last year or the year before that, or has that always been sort of the situation?
I'm only laughing and smile over here because I just think some of the stuff is it's nuts, right? That's the only way I can actually, qualify it or define it. I think it's nuts that anyone in a leadership position, especially elected leader position, that's as high as, mayor, because you can't get any higher in any municipality, that's it. And for somebody to come out and say they didn't know, yeah, I have to question not only you, but the people that voted you into office as well. I mean, how do you not know what was going on? You have stories of teachers, west of the river, asking then Mayor Pete to come in and check out the school, and he was too busy to show up. or he didn't show up. But desegregation and him not knowing about the consent decree that we have in South Bend, I can't say he did or he didn't know. What I can say is that he should have known. That it was his job to know. And those same kids that go to these schools are the same kids that populate the neighborhoods that we are supposed to take care of, that we are supposed to fund and ensure safety in those neighborhoods. So there's no way around it. There's no excuse that you could provide to say that it was okay for you not to know. You're supposed to know. These are the same kids that populate the neighborhoods, are the same kids that attend these schools.
Got it. Totally get it, and they deserve a good shot at life. The kids on the west side deserve just as good of a shot at life as the kids on the east side. That's what I would say. I gotta ask, man, how did he get into office?
That's a good question, man. One thing that I would like to say is that he got into office because the mayor before him had been there for like 16 years. And, Steve Lickey was his name. He, decent guy, really decent guy. He just was moving too slow, I guess, for most people. And I guess people just got sick of and tired of, the slow movement, the same rhetoric, the same conversation. And, be honest with you, probably have been there too long. He's just probably there too long. 12 years is probably good enough time to serve as mayor. If you haven't got anything done in 12 years, it's probably time to hang it up. But he was still there. And so people, I guess, were, really
something new, a change.
They looked for something new,
right.
And so the relationship ended, and in America, we had this thing about overcorrecting. So
uh-oh. Lost audio. Hey, can you hear me, Anthony? I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, I lost the audio for a second, but I'm back. So yeah, I hear you. It's just like it's just that. Wow, it's not leaving me much to say that isn't completely negative. So he got into office. Were things under his predecessor? Were things as bad as they are now, or did things just get dramatically worse under Pete's?
They got dramatically worse. I think it had a lot to do with his time in office. So he zooms directly to the front of the line. He's leading, right? There probably would have been a better Mayor Pete had Mayor Pete served as Councilman Pete prior to becoming Mayor Pete. There's a lot to say about a person when they are only responsible for themselves or responsible for a family. You can bet that a person that's the head of a household and has a family, they're going to make decisions that's inclusive of other people. When a person doesn't have that type of attachment, they're going to do and make decisions based upon what's best for them in those moments. And I think that's across the board, with most people. And so he's a better person, a better elected official, had he taken the steps to the top. He comes right in with his Harvard degree, his Rhodes Scholarship, his McKinsey resume, and somehow, some way, he knows how to work with people. You may have, and that's not it. People are not numbers, and that has been a problem. If I can calculate this number and put this equation to this number or whatever that is, then I can solve what the problems are in South Bend. No, you can't, because you don't know who South Bend is. And those numbers that you're associating with these problems are not, they're not people, they're numbers. So we're talking about real human beings. We're touching real human beings, and human beings don't behave like numbers. They don't.
Good point, man. Perfect analogy of the individual when you're a single man, and the difference between that and a man with three kids, like myself, or a man like you, a married with kids as well. Yeah, you totally different lifestyle in the way that you see the world and the way that you move about the world and what your responsibility level is. I love that analogy. So there was something that popped up about the most recent cop shooting, and it made the news. You know what I'm talking about. There was a sister there who, in exchange with Pete, she said, you want to get our vote. And Pete's response was something like, well, I'm not here to get your vote. We on the outside looking in, man, we left dumbfounded, Mr. Davis. We don't know. We never heard of a person running for office not wanting somebody's vote, saying he don't care about votes. How did that play out in South Bend? What's the conversation with you guys there?
I missed everything you said. I couldn't hear anything that you said.
Okay.
You said something about a sister, and that's the last thing I heard.
Oh, so the signal is going out. I got
This is my signal or is it your signal?
I hear you fine. Well,
go ahead. I got you now. I can hear you now.
Yeah. Do you remember when the sister said something about there was a conversation where Pete said, "I'm not here to get your vote." We just don't understand that at all.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Thinking about other people outside of yourself.
Right.
I would have never said anything like that. I would, but that's because I have other people I have to I have to talk to later on. I have other people that I have to think about.
Right.
I have other people that I have to consider. I just think that was a fumble. It was really bad. Yes, you are. You're always asking for someone's vote. You don't get a do-over. You can't show up to the grocery store and you're in there looking like nobody's business and you're in there, using obscene language and treating the folks who work in there really bad. And then you come back 2 days later with your suit on and tie on and you're talking about, can I have your vote? You're always working. You're always on Front Street. You're always that person. So you can't detach the two. And that again, in his youthfulness, in his lack of maturity, he responded that way, and that was as tragic as you could get.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of different interactions with the press where he got a little snippy. Like he don't have time to listen to these people ask him questions, and so I get a glimpse of it, and you sort of like confirming what we already thought on these little sound bites that we get from him at times.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, and I hate that occurred. People were out there hurting. Mm-hmm. They were looking for some leadership. They were looking for answers, and as a result, that problem grew even more by, the idea that I'm not asking for your vote. You are always asking for their vote. Mm-hmm. You're always campaigning. You're never not campaigning.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Mr. Davis, definitely I want to appreciate you. I thank you so much for taking time out to have this conversation with us. Mayor Pete is still your mayor.
Yeah, he is. He has a couple more weeks.
Couple more weeks.
But I'm sure he's probably gone. He won't be around for these couple of weeks.
That's another thing. I heard when you were on the Hill with Crystal Ball and Sagar, you were saying how Pete hardly was there anyway. He was in Afghanistan or run through that. So he hadn't spent that much time in South Bend with you guys, has he, as mayor?
No, not at all. Has always had one foot out the door. He ran for DNC chair, didn't get that. Then he goes and gets deployed, volunteers to be deployed. He wasn't deployed. He wasn't sent off because they needed more help over there. As a matter of fact, they were coming home. If I remember how then President Obama was taking care of that. So he elects to leave, to go serve overseas, leaves and comes back over like 7-8 months, time. And then all of a sudden, within a year or two, he's running for president. But he was running for president before he announced that he was running for president because he was always going on a plane trip somewhere. The South Bend Tribune, which is our local newspaper, they have actually a story or two about his travel schedule and the amount of air miles that he's collecting. And no one really understood why he was going. It was always that I'm advertising the city to the rest of the nation, and so people went for it. They thought, well, yeah, sure, you are advertising it because you always say that you're the mayor of South Bend, but what's behind that is that you're going to these different places to meet with other people because you're filling out your next step in life and your next career path. So, he's not committed. Has not been committed. Chooses not to be committed because he's interested in what his next step is, or his next lane assignment will be. And that's fine if that's what he wants to do, but don't be an elected official.
Right.
Don't serve at the pleasure of the people. If that's what you're interested in doing, then you find another, career path, another goal that doesn't, that doesn't include the people, the population of people that are asking you for help. They're asking you for support. There are other jobs that you can actually work that doesn't challenge you like that.
Yeah, if you don't want to do the job, don't have the job. Don't take the job if you don't want to do the job. Sound like he was just trying to get away from you guys, like somebody in a bad relationship who go on business trips a lot to get away from home because of things at home aren't going too good.
and usually they have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. They usually have another significant other on the other end of that. They're what they call that cheating or adultery. Yeah. So and it's bad, that we as citizens have to suffer through such things. I don't think that that's fair. And then, the add insult to injury, you're still collecting a check for over $100,000 when the median household income, especially in South Bend, is like 16 grand. Who's living off of that and where are they living? Can they live? And so you're making 100,000 advertising yourself out to the rest of the world. And whereas people are having a difficult time paying, these newfound ways of water rates. We have water rates that are like exceptionally high now because, we have to pay for a new sewer overflow project. You're getting people's waters getting turned off, and so if nothing else, you need water to live on this earth. You can't get away from that. You have to have water. That's why they spend billions of dollars, NASA going to all these different countries to see if there is life somewhere else. And they are always looking for water. So you need that. And the problem that we're having is that this guy is just, again, having his fun, having his time. And we have these exorbitant amount of issues here in South Bend that need to be tackled and find some type of resolve or solution for them.
Well, like I stated, I definitely see your point. It's unfortunate the people of South Bend have an absentee mayor, and when he was there, it didn't seem like he was that interested in the job. I don't know about you, but it doesn't appear to be a good springboard for presidency. I don't think he's done anything to kind of prepare himself for that type of step. I can't even imagine if people knew your story. Hopefully they'll now know it, what his tenure was as mayor. They won't be looking to going, this guy's great, he should be president.
Well, I mean, and isn't that the bad part about it is that, the process of vetting has become, I think it's almost courageous for him to jump out there like that. It blows my mind. I mean, this guy has a big pair of kahunas, man. I mean, knowing that these things are still festering here in this municipality, but it's an idea that I still can go out there. And not only that, he is out there. He hasn't, canceled or suspended his campaign. He's ranked number 4. He's outlasted, governors, people who've been in the U.S. Senate, even Congress.
Absolutely.
So we're still challenging the idea: how does this happen, and how does he reach this level of competition when his track record is so bad, but he's still there, and we're still talking about him. And again, he's in number 4. He's in the 4th place. He's not number 1. He's not number 2. He's not number 3. He's he's number 4, and he's headline news. Something is completely wrong with America right now. And he's obviously riding that wave, whatever that wave is. But we have to collect ourselves as Americans and figure out what we really want. And then we need to let the gauntlet down. We have to define, we need a leader that does this, this, and this. And if these people who are signing whatever application you are signing or file for your candidacy, if you're not getting to those, if you're not checking those boxes, then you're not allowed to even be out here in this field, and we're not going to pay you any attention. Somehow he was able to market himself because he is able to check boxes, because he is a veteran, because he is gay and also married, because he is Harvard grad, because he's a Rhodes Scholar. So he feels, and also he's been a mayor, so he has executive experience. So he has the ability to run the country. No, you don't. No, you don't. And I think that that's offensive to the Oval itself. It's offensive to the process itself. There is no way possible that anyone should believe that not only him or anyone else with the amount of experience that he has or the lack of experience that he has should be able to have this discussion about being president. No one was really interested in you being able to speak 5 or 6 or 7 different languages. That's not the job. You go out and find an interpreter for that. We're talking about how are you going to make sure healthcare is available. We're going to talk about how this infrastructure, these roads are being taken care of, these bridges are being taken care of. What is our public educational school system like? And how are our kids are going to continue to win? What is our housing stock across America look like? Is anybody working and working a job that they can take care of their mortgage and take care of their families? You know, those are the issues that confront America. It's not about, you know, some idea that I can do it at the age of 37 and I can do it better than anyone else. I hope that you can, but I don't think that you can because your resume doesn't support that you can. Your track record doesn't support. And so Americans have to get an insult level at this point in saying that this stuff has to quit. This is foolishness. This is complete foolishness. We're paying attention to the wrong thing. You know, do we want to go to war within the first 6 months of the presidency about something because somebody got offended because somebody didn't like someone else's sexuality? That's nuts. We need to be in a position where we are, as an American citizen, as a country, we're producing, not importing everything. We're producing, we're selling to the rest of the world. We're participating in the world's market. Our people here are working, and they're working at a high level. Unemployment is low, and crime is down in our major cities. Drug use is down. We're going through an opioid addiction problem right now, aren't we? Yes, and we're not even talking about how we're going to tackle that. You know, we're talking about that there's a problem. You know, somebody satisfy this problem. Usually we satisfy those problems with good jobs. We satisfy those problems with good education. We satisfy those problems with good programming to make sure those people are off that addictive medication. Right. But we're just not doing the right things. And I think that by us being sidetracked by somebody that's in 4th place, 5th place, or whatever that may be, we're not getting to the heart of the discussion. You have Bernie Sanders, you have Elizabeth Warren. They're speaking to the moral center of the Democratic Party. But somehow, some way, those 2 candidates are being looked upon as being crazy, or because Bernie waves his hand too much. That's not inconsequential. We need to talk about what the people in America really want and what they really need. And those things, again, healthcare, jobs, safe communities, safe neighborhoods. They are able to survive in this country. They are able to look at the American dream and work towards that goal. Right now, man, we're not able to work towards anything. We're looking like we're working towards a worse day, a really bad day.
Wow. Well, look, well said, Mr. Davis. Well said, brother. In fact, I hope you once you finish your studies, man, you need to run for mayor. South Bend could do a lot worse than a mayor who speaks from the heart like you do, who knows the issues in South Bend. who's concerned and can talk about them, and rattle off all the concerns of the people, man. That's very impressive, Mr. Davis. And Mr. Davis, tell people where they can go to find out more about you and get in touch with you.
Well, my Facebook page is Henry Davis Jr. I'll be changing some of that here soon, but it's Henry Davis Jr. In South Bend, Indiana, obviously. My Twitter handle is at I am Henry Davis Jr. My Instagram is still Henry Davis Jr. So it's pretty consistent across the board. It won't be hard to find me and see where I'm at and see what I'm doing. So yeah, that's who I am.
Well, look, do me a favor, man. Stay in touch with me. And as you as you go through, matriculate and do different things, man, hit me up. I'd love to bring you back on because I think you're gonna be doing some stuff, Mr. Davis.
Well, we're looking forward to it, man. We're still, trying to have as much fun as we can. You gotta keep a smile on my face. We thank God, we thank Jesus as much as we can. We move towards it, man. I don't.
I lost you again, brother. Look at that. I lost you again. I don't know. I don't know if that's me or what that is.
Yeah,
I don't know. I hope. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Yes, it's doing something crazy. Well, anyway, folks, as long as you can hear me, that's it, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate you, Mr. Davis. Thank you so much for taking time out your day, guys. You know how to hit me up at Real 10 Black on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter. And until the next time, don't let nobody take your cornbread or your vote. Peace. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we are done.